This'll hit you hard. In Yemen, an 8-year-old girl named Ruwan died on her wedding night. Yep, you heard that right. Her wedding night. Internal bleeding, torn organs, her body crushed under the weight of a grown man, 5 times her age. She was a child. Her life ended in the most terrifying way by a culture that has normalized sexual violence against girls under the sickening guise of tradition and religious duty. This isn't just a story of a young life snuffed out. This is an indictment of every government, every cleric, every bureaucrat and every Western apologist who looks the other way. It's an indictment of the UN's impotence, of Western government's cowardice, and of every intellectual who sold out morality in favour of multicultural sensitivity. This is an act of evil, enabled by broken systems and protected by ideologies that shield themselves behind scripture and sovereignty. But some will say, it's Yemen, who cares? Seriously? Have you not been watching what's happening across Europe, throughout the UK? Where do you think the mindset of thousands upon thousands of men that enter our country illegally on small boats is? Do you think they have the same moral values as Europeans, as Brits? Of course they don't. Crimes against women have, just by coincidence, increased exponentially, as has crime in general. Muslims make up about 6.5% of the general population. Within the prison population, however, they represent about 18%, which is a significant overrepresentation. So the next time you think that it's no big deal, the changing face of Britain, and Islam is all fine and dandy, imagine your granddaughters, your great-granddaughters, being married off at 8 years old to a 50-year-old fat bastard. Wake up! Islam is growing and we need to grow too. We need to stand. Get involved. Start attending your local church. Start being active, loud and unapologetic. Our future generations of young girls' lives depend on our actions now. We need to embrace Christianity and put on the armour of Christ. Because if you think wankers like Starmer are going to save us, think again.
Now this guy here, I like some of the stuff he says and I like the things he flags up with, and in this video in particular where he talks about an 8-year-old girl who has died as a result of is utterly unacceptable. We cannot accept this in society. We cannot accept this, when I say in society, nationally and internationally. We cannot also accept that people who may have these kinds of values and beliefs, their value systems might be steered in this way. We cannot allow these individuals into our country because they will ruin. And also the point that he's making about the crime rate has gone up, and we cannot make a specific designation to sex crime and nationality because there's no actual link. However, I do agree with him. If there are people coming into the country which have these types of values, they should not be allowed in. They should not be allowed in whatsoever. However, the second point I want to make is in terms of Islam. You cannot say that Islam is responsible for those individuals, because Islam is a religion of tolerance. Now, I'm not a Muslim, but what I will say is those individuals that practice evil doing and harm our kids and harm anybody are not acceptable in society in the eyes of God. We cannot accept that. We don't accept that. In terms of how we let people into the UK, that should be a more sustained, rigorous, measured, risk-assessed process. That is what we need to have in place for this not to happen. In terms of Islam, though, we cannot say Islam is responsible because, generically speaking, those people that live in the UK and that are Islamic are not actually attacking and harming people. Islam is a religion of tolerance and it teaches peace. However, whether you regard that as the true representation of how to get to God or not is another matter. In terms of Christianity, it's not just a white thing. It's not just about black and white. It's not just about a white thing. Christianity is for everybody. Matthew 24:14 says, "And the good news of the kingdom will be preached throughout the inhabited earth to all nations." Christianity, and to become more Christ-like, is to do with the Bible and to do with the true God. In terms of practicing Christianity, yes, I would say so. Yes, in terms of learning more about what is going on and people becoming more awake, we should do that. In terms of Keir Starmer and how he is ruining our country, which I specifically agree with in terms of the Labour Party and how they are being involved in the sex scandals. We know because there is being no public inquiry. So what I'm going to say is, when we listen to people's views and opinions, let's not tie race to it. Let's tie pure justice, and let's try ethical, moral standards that have been given from the Bible, and for us not to harm. Jesus said, love your neighbor. Jesus said, embrace your enemy. Love your neighbor as yourself. Who is your neighbor? Your neighbor is everybody around you. If you see anybody, regardless of any culture and religion, being harmed, and by the way, no sex scandals, we had Muslim and Indian girls that were harmed also. If we see anybody, we should not be thinking about the color or what religion they are, but to make a differentiation for true justice, just like you have quoted in your video talking about an 8-year-old girl, which I hope and know that you are concerned about. And I will say my thoughts and prayers, and I'm sure yours are with this family too. Vikas Chopra, over and out.